Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm your Jester. My name is Junior. Today we are going to be reviewing HONO's X-Men Wolverine 1/6 scale. This figure is a bit of a bittersweet moment for me because it's sweet because I was excited. It's a Hot Toys figure. We all know it's Hot Toys even though it says it's HONO. But the initial price was $160. Supposed to be their entry level figure. And I knew it's a hook. They're eventually going to raise the prices. They weren't going to stay that long. But I was really hoping that it would take them quite a while for them to bump up the prices. And I'm not really even into X-Men, but I wanted to support the line until it gets to the lineup that I wanted, which is basically the basic Avengers, which we're getting now, which is the classic Iron Man. But it took them less than three figures to jump from 160, Magneto's 175, and we're getting the classic Iron Man, the one I really wanted, for 215. Man, that's a big jump. But anyway, enough of the complaining. Let's take a look at X-Men's 1/6 scale Wolverine. Here's the figure, or here's the box. It's a very long box, longer than the usual Hot Toys one. Usually the Hot Toys will end over here. Very basic. And here's a comic book rendering of the figure. So let me go ahead and take it out really quickly and let's see what's going on. Alexa, increase the brightness of the sun to 50%.
Okay.
Alright, that's so everything out of the packaging. Let's talk about the base first. The base, this initial base, basically has the thickness and feel of a regular Hot Toys base. So that's not a problem. It's got this hook over here that you just attached and everything. Just loosen up the screw. This is the backing that will go behind the base where you attach your comic book. This one, right? This one, if you've ever had Hot Toys before, you know the plastic tray that I had that was containing all these figures. This is about the same thickness as that. It's basically very thin plastic. You can see how much it wobbles. But technically, this is just supposed to be background, so I don't know if I really mind it or not. And this is supposed to only hold the comic book. What you can do, I suppose, if you want it more sturdier, is put something in the back here. That way it won't flop or anything like that and may potentially damage your comic book if you are going to put your comic book in here. And that's it for the base. Let's put the figure aside and let's look at the mouth plates that's coming with it. These are the two mouth plates that you can get along with the figure. Um, they're very nicely painted. Actually, much more nicer than I thought they would be from the reviews that I've seen. I was kind of thinking that the teeth there wasn't enough wash in between the teeth to emphasize the individuality of each tooth, but looking in hand and as the sculpture casts shadows, it's actually not bad. I think that's pretty good as it is. So this is actually looks a lot better in hand than looking at it through the macros of a camera through your TV. Here is one of the closed-fisted hands with the claws, and I really do wish, as other people have said, that this actually plugged into each individual claws themselves. That way you can have the option of having the claws in here. But I think in the end I'm okay with this. Now, including the effects or accessories would be these slash claws. If I believe correctly, you just insert it into the claws like these. You can see the weight of the middle one will start to bend the claws. I will say this, it's a nice gimmick. I don't think I'll ever see how the middle one wobbles. I don't think I'll ever display him like this, but it's a nice gimmick that they added, which I think would have been better served by having a third additional set of hands, with, for example, having these with claws rather than the slashing effects. But that's just my opinion. So now let's get down to the figure itself. This is such an iconic suit for me, and I know they announced the brown suit, but this is not the one I really wanted. One issue I have is this belt seems like it's off to the side a little bit more here than having centralized, and it's kind of bugging me. So I don't think that's actually can be moved, so I'm kind of stuck with that. The costume that one of the initial complaint or issue that I had with the costume was the stripe on the top. I prefer it more straight than like this, and it seems to be going off to the side over here. In hand, it's not so bad. I was kind of hoping I could kind of push the costume a little bit and fudge it a little bit, but I don't think that's possible. These shoulder pads, that is an issue because you can clearly see the gap going on over here. The way it's connected is I'm not sure if you're seeing, there's an actual peg that plugs into here and here. So this actually moves, as you can see, this one actually moved out of the socket, the peg on the shoulder. Not an issue, it's very soft and you can plug it in, and that probably what caused the gap more visible over here. But yeah, not a problem. It's easily removable and put back in. The face itself looks really good, the one on the figure. My apologies if the color of the costume is appearing kind of greenish tinge. I don't know why it's causing that. I hope it's not gonna be like that in the final rendering, but this is a nice bright yellow color for the fabric. I really like how they finished off the design of the face. I'm not sold on how the face plate connects to the face, because it seems like it's not fully integrated into the figure, but it looks good enough, you know, for the price of $160. If for the price of $160, we can forgive a lot of what's going on. For example, the shoulder plate. Just looking at him in hand in a basic stance, he really does look good. You can see musculature peeping through the fabric, even here. One of the nice things I wanted to see is that how much the hands would lay naturally on the side of the figure, and that looks nice. The waist over here, I wish that this was a little bit more towards like this for the edge instead of this, but I can see why they did it, because that will hamper articulation if they were to do that. As it is, the articulation on the thigh goes up to that, not a complete 90 degrees. And you can see it bunching up a little bit. The fabric is thin, but not the kind of fabric that would catch on a hangnail or anything like that. It's kind of nice to the touch. It is thin though. I'm kind of wary on if it's gonna rip or not. But it's not so thin that you can see through. You can kind of see through the material underneath of the body. I'm noticing a difference in color. So this is the same, but when it comes to the shoulder plate, it's different. I don't know if it's meant to be like that, but you can kind of see it a little bit. But maybe they did that on purpose because it's supposed to be a different texture or different material. Very nicely painted on the smooth hair over here. The arm, we all know it's supposed to be medical grade silicone. I really hope it lasts long, but it does feel smooth, not oily, thick enough. I would say the thickness of this silicone is about that thick. It's fairly thick, but it's not a complete silicone. You can see me squeezing there, so there's probably a structure inside. I don't know if it's plastic or metal, but there's a hollowness inside this silicone casting where the skeleton is probably hiding. The body itself is a thick, hard plastic. That's kind of weird. So I know this is hard, but I don't know if it's real. Oh, I see. So this one's probably hard, and there's probably another silicone here because I'll show you that the neck has a little bit of give. Okay, so maybe the neck is not movable. There's some give to it, but it's not articulated. So there's probably a cut here that allows you to move that much on the torso, which is really nice. And then of course the abdomen, not a lot of movement in there. There is a twist, but not complete all around twist, and you really won't need it too much. It looks like the fabric is actually maybe glued inside here. I don't think it continues all the way down to the pants. It could. I can't really tell. It could be just one piece, but you don't really need any more movement more than that. The main point here, I think, is the amount of range, articulation range, that's being accomplished by the upper diaphragm over here. For the movement of the head, it can go high, really nicely high like that, and it can go about that much. A little bit of an exposure on the fabric over here, and you can see that there's a gap underneath here, which is fine because it's allowing for a lot of movement on the head. I'm not sure if I showed this to you, but when you pull it like that, then you can see how they did the fabric over here, and you can also see how smooth that thing is. One of the failures when it comes to engineering with hot toys is sometimes this inner ring will have a break, and then you're completely gone for whatever articulation or rigidity of where this thing pegs in. Unfortunately, that's the way it is, and you just hope that that plastic ring inside there doesn't break, because if it does, you're screwed. While we have the head off, you can see that there's a dot over here. Just push that out and that should give you access to the mouth plate being removed. You might as well put the new one in. I thought maybe there's a way of putting in more properly, but it seems to be just like a complete switch out, so it's not an issue. Just make sure you press it in, that way you won't have any kind of raised ridges over here. As it is, I can almost see a raised ridge over here. Like it's not like, it's like I haven't completely pushed it in. That's the one with a slightly smirking face. I don't know why, but for some reason it doesn't seem straight. Like it's the mouth, instead of being straight like this, seems like it's like this a little bit. What do you guys think? I don't know. Maybe it's just the shadows doing it. And then pop that out. Pop this one in. This one's a lot better. I'll probably have him displayed with a close-fisted with the claws out, and then with this faceplate. But for now, let's go back to the neutral face. Pops in really easily. Again, I'm being distracted by the fact that I really think this belt is off. I don't know why. Like it's just a little bit off. Let's see, we've talked about that. Let's talk about the range of the arm. Obviously this shoulder guard will kind of limit it, but I just wanted to show you. Oh, actually it moves pretty well, more than perpendicular. It does have that up and down. I wonder if it has not really a butterfly joint. It has more of an up and down than inwards and outwards. Just being careful. It's the first time I've actually messed around. I would suggest before you twist it, just move this a little bit down. That way you're not forcing the plastic to rub against the fabric, which I highly think it might cut and rip. So movement all around is good. I'm gonna pop this really quickly so we can see the structure underneath it. It moves really well, and you can see the up and down movement like so. Very strong ratchet joint, so that's pretty good. That's the most extreme pose. This is the success of how they did this. Usually when you bend your arm like this, you can see how fake it looks, but the way they structured the muscles, it really bends really well on this curve. And this should be a little bit more towards here, but it's successful enough that's okay. And if you don't use that and you just use it up to this point, it actually looks still pretty good. This is the most extreme range as I've shown you, and it does take just a little bit more force for it to go back. Really nice ratchet. It's very strong. I hope this is the same material that they'll use for the classic Iron Man. I just ordered the Batman Returns figure, and I really do hope they're not lazy and just reuse the body and technology that they had on the original Returns figure. I know comparatively in the Batman 1989 2.0 they messed around with the texture of the suit, but I don't know if they've improved on the skeleton that they used or in the body that they used. I'm not seeing that in any of the reviews that's comparing the original DX09 to the new one, and I really hope that they weren't lazy and just reused the inside body, because this is the structure that I want for rubber bodies. I have the Batman Forever figure with Val Kilmer and Chris O'Donnell, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it is not as successful as this. This is much more better. Actually, let me take that out. This is basically the same structure that's being used on this Hot Toys Wolverine, where you have a rubber suit and an inside structure going on. It's basically the same, except this one's using silicone, supposedly medical grade silicone, and this is just rubber. See how much this thing bends ugly like that? Well, this one is not. See, the ratchet on this one is slightly less stronger than this one. I can feel it because this one's already beginning to fight me. More so here in the shoulders. The shoulder in this one just really sucks. See, now I do have to say, the way they structured the shoulder here as one piece is more than likely the reason why this thing has such a give. But at the same time, the ratchet on this one, barely there. As you can see, this thing is like, if they had used the same ratchet system that they used in this one, this would have held up much better. This was such a disappointing figure for me. See, there's nothing in there because this is basically a rubber statue. Right, so getting back to the HONO or Hot Toys yellow suit Wolverine. So this really is good. Yeah, definitely much more stronger. Is it the same on the other side? Let's check and see. Yes, strong ratchet. Now let's look at the bicep. So I gotta be careful on this one. Now this one would be an interesting test because now you have the resistance of the rubber because there's no brakes or anything going on over here. I gotta be careful, I don't want to break it, but I'm gonna leave it like that because I think that's all the range you need for any kind of movement off to the side. It's holding its place. This is pure friction. And the most important thing is moving inwards, is that you can do this, and that with the help of maybe the movement of the shoulder, then you can get whatever you need. We'll do this again here on this side. Yeah, definitely much better. Not a lot of hindrance to that kind of inward. That's really the most important thing as far as I'm concerned. This one likes to pop out more than the other side. So let's squeeze that into place. This one is definitely much more a tighter fit than the other side. Yeah, this one is just kind of a little bit loose. So again, let's go back to this one. We'll just twist this a little bit here, twist it a little bit there. So that's not a problem. And then of course the hands, it's not a problem replacing these. I already showed you the waist. Kind of wish there was a drop down on this one. That way we can achieve a little bit more give on the legs over here. Here's how it looks in the back. So maybe this is, I thought maybe there was like a sleeve here and it just ends over here, the fabric, but no, I think that it does go all the way to this one and probably connects to the upper fabric. I look at this one, see in the back it doesn't look that bad, right? And this works for me, having the oh yeah, you can see right there, and it seems like it's actually connected a little bit. Having the plastic brief over here, this really works for me. I feel like it's very successful. It's just It's just this the way they sculpted it. But I can see why they did it, because this is hard plastic, and maybe they could have gone with a softer rubber, but maybe that will be prone to breaking. This one won't break or split, and I feel like this is a good compromise. Let's see. So the legs are basically hard plastic. It's not rubber or anything. So you just basically have the normal regular hinge over here, which is fine because it's under fabric anyway. All friction, but nice tight hinges over here. There is no swivel at the boot, so that's kind of disappointing. Just be careful when you're obviously putting it into place. So that's good like that. There is a swivel at the ankle, a rocker, up that much, down that much, and then you have the toe joint, which is cool. It does kind of break this the sculpture, but this one does break the sculpture as well too. I'm okay with it. It does kind of make it look like a big Marvel Legends once it comes here. Especially, this is only being nitpicky though, because when you're looking at this one, it really looks nice, and then you look at the bottom and you see the hinges. But I think that's fine, because you still have the cut over here, and who concentrates on the feet? So I think that having the hinges here is just fine for me. So let's go ahead and remove and replace the hands. I'm curious to see. So that's how it looks inside. Be careful, because this is silicone. Maybe you'll cause paint rub or paint staining eventually. I don't know. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. This is becoming to be bothersome because it keeps popping out of the thing. Really nice figure. So let's talk about price and value. 160. At 160, I'm going to tell you guys, the value for this particular figure is probably around 15, comparable to 10, which is, I know, you might be getting confused. So I usually set the base price at if it's 160, that's usually 10. And then depending on that, as the value increases or the value lowers, I go from 10 to 20 or 10 to 1, depending on how bad the value is. This is I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably sitting at 15 in terms of value. This is really nice, right? Very representative of the character. You have enough of the accessories that you can possibly need. Yes, it would have been nicer to have this with claws, but then again, yes, it could have been a 20 in terms of value, right? Like a perfect figure. This is very close, so I'm putting it as 15. What could they have improved on it? I really don't know. I mean, this is more of a nitpick. But I can see the sacrifice, so I don't discount that as a negative value. The decisions they've made, I feel it's good. And I'm not gonna include the rating of the board on the stand. In terms of value, I don't really consider that. I'm looking at the figure, and the figure is excellent in my opinion at 160. Now, how am I going to do it at 175? 175 would have been with Magneto. If this had been 175, this probably would have dropped to 12 in terms of value. Still good, but you know, the memory of 160 to 175 is stinging to the point that it's gonna lower down the value. Now, once we get the 215 of Iron Man, I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But at 215, I feel like, especially with what we're seeing on Iron Man, I feel like that's gonna be like level 10 to 10. But I don't know. It is such an iconic figure. I can't. You know, I want to judge it on what we're getting here right now. And like I said, I'm kind of bitter at how quickly they jumped the price. But yeah, like I said, I'm not really into X-Men. This is a nice representation of the figure, but I didn't want to get a 1/6 scale comic book accurate X-Men character. And Wolverine is not my most favorite character out of Marvel. I know. Don't kill me. But I would rather have had Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and I don't even know how we're gonna do Hulk. Or if I'm gonna do Hulk, because we already have the Avengers Hulk, and I feel like that's a pretty good representation anyway already for any kind of Hulk. But we'll see. This is really, really good. And I don't mind this version than getting the brown suit version. This is the version that I wanted anyway. If I was gonna get an X-Men, I wanted this kind of X-Men, Jim Lee's X-Men. And this is what it reminds me of. How much more will I go into this line? Well, I got Magneto, which is kind of I would have preferred to keeping in the lanes of the heroes when it comes to this one. Probably maybe Cyclops, Jean Grey. But honestly, if I had wanted X-Men, I would have wanted Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, and Beast, and Angel, the original X-Men, rather than this one. But since we're getting this one, let's go for the Jim Lee version. So I probably want to get Jean Grey. I probably want to get a Jean Grey of this version, a Cyclops of this version, Archangel, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we get what we, you know, it is what it is. So I got this one, I got Magneto, and then I'm finally getting classic Iron Man, so that's really good. Hopefully before the prices go more than 250. 250 for supposedly an introductory figure is max. That's it for me, man. And after that, I'm just like, that's screwed. That's way screwed up. What a jip. Anyway, but that's it for this particular figure. I say get it. I recommend it. I hope it stays low in the pricing range. I really do hope so. How will the silicone withstand the time of this bending thing? I would rather experiment on this than the Iron Man. So I'll keep this bent and see what happens, and hopefully it doesn't crack or anything like that. So I would rather sacrifice this figure than sacrificing the Iron Man figure. That's the one I really want the most. Stands really well. Well, it was standing really well. Now it seems like the ankle seems a little bit loose. Stands really well. Very solid figure. So that's it for my review. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the show really quickly, and I will see you in the next review. Schnick.